The sky was a sheet of steel that morning. Engines hummed like restrained thunder as Flight 347 taxied down the runway, carrying 100 souls across the ocean. To the crew, she was nothing special, just another name on the manifest. Passenger 91, a quiet woman in seat 14A, window side, her face half hidden behind aviator glasses. But 20 minutes after takeoff, the call sign went out, and two F-22 Raptors, slicing through the clouds on routine escort duty, froze in disbelief. Greater than, say again, control. Did you just confirm? Call sign Valkyrie. Affirmative. Passenger 91 has requested open channel. The pilots looked at each other. Even through the glass canopies, their heads tilted in unison. A name long thought retired, buried in black files and whispered legends, had returned. Without hesitation, both cockpits filled with the sharp, disciplined motion of a salute. Passenger 91, no longer faceless, no longer ordinary, had been recognized. Hours earlier, no one in the departure lounge would have guessed the truth. Businessmen in tailored suits tapped at tablets. Children whined for snacks. A single dad in his 40s, known to most of the world as Ethan Cross, the billionaire CEO of Orion Systems, sat stiffly with his teenage daughter, Lila. Ethan was a man used to controlling boardrooms, controlling outcomes, even controlling emotions. But when it came to his daughter, the ground shifted beneath him. She had asked him a question that morning, one that pierced deeper than any quarterly loss. Greater than, Dad, can we stop pretending? You order people to play parts in your life, but can't someone stay for real? Can she start forever? He hadn't known how to answer. The woman Lila referred to was supposed to be a temporary arrangement, a girlfriend for optics, someone hired to soften his image for the press. But his daughter's eyes were searching, not for spectacle, but for permanence. That's when she walked in. Passenger 91, tall, poised, carrying a single duffel bag slung over one shoulder. Her presence drew eyes without her trying. She didn't move like a tourist. She moved like someone trained to measure exits, memorize angles, and weigh risks. To Lila, she was instantly magnetic. To Ethan, she was an unsettling unknown. The boarding call echoed, metallic and hollow. Greater than, Flight 347 to London, now boarding all passengers. Ethan rose, adjusting the cuff of his jacket, masking nerves behind practiced calm. Lila bounded ahead, her backpack bouncing. Passenger 91 stepped into the jet bridge with a stillness that seemed to part the noise around her. People passed, jostling with carry-ons and phones, but she was a current flowing in the opposite direction, quiet, steady, unshakable. When she slid into her seat by the window, she didn't open a book or close her eyes like others did. She simply placed her hand against the armrest, fingers tapping once, twice, as if testing vibrations. Watching, waiting, cruising altitude. The seatbelt sign dimmed. Flight attendants pushed carts down narrow aisles. Lila leaned over her tray table, doodling spirals in the corner of her notebook. Dad, she whispered, she's different. Ethan followed his daughter's gaze. Passenger 91 was staring out the window, but her reflection in the glass betrayed 1,000 unspoken calculations. She wasn't lost in thought. She was alert. Ethan frowned. He had built empires on reading people, but this one eluded him. And it made him restless. Then came the first disruption. A coded message from the cockpit to air traffic control. A request had been made. Unusual. Highly unusual. Passenger 91 wanted to transmit on military frequency. Raptor 1 to control. Repeat that last call sign. The pilots' voices crackled, low with disbelief. Greater than, confirmed. Passenger 91 identifies as Valkyrie. The name spread like fire through encrypted channels. A call sign thought extinct. A ghost resurrected mid-flight. The two F-22s flanking Flight 347 adjusted formation. Their sleek frames glinted silver as they drew closer, almost protective, like knights recognizing their queen. Inside, Ethan saw the shift before anyone else. He noticed the way Passenger 91 sat straighter, the faintest smirk at the corner of her mouth, as if the world had just remembered who she truly was. Lila whispered, Dad, they're saluting her. And Ethan Cross, the man who thought he controlled every piece on the board, realized he was sitting across from someone who could change the entire game. The cabin air felt heavier after the call sign was spoken. Most passengers remained blissfully unaware, sipping sodas or tapping at seatback screens. But for those who noticed, the subtle banking of the aircraft, the distant shimmer of fighter jets, something had shifted. Passenger 91, Valkyrie, remained calm. Calm in a way that only came from years of carrying storms. At 37,000 feet, legends rarely walk the aisle. Yet there she was, rising from her seat, a shadow moving with effortless balance even as turbulence jostled the fuselage. Ethan's instincts screamed. He had dealt with investors who hid daggers behind smiles, but this was different. This was precision wrapped in silence. He found himself blurting, low and sharp, "Who are you?" She glanced down at him. For a moment, her eyes softened, not unkind, but unflinching. "Nobody important," she said. "Unless you believe in ghosts." Lila's pencil froze mid-spiral. Her teenage eyes widened. "Dad, she's not lying." Ethan wanted to scoff, to dismiss it as cryptic nonsense. But something in her tone, the cadence of certainty, made the hair rise on his neck. Minutes later, the captain himself left the cockpit, escorted by a stiff-backed flight attendant. Protocol rarely allowed it, but exceptions were being made. He stopped at row 14. Cleared his throat. "Ma'am," he said carefully, "I've been asked to confirm. Are you, in fact, Valkyrie?" The woman didn't flinch. She simply reached into her duffel bag and produced a small, battered insignia. A winged emblem scorched at the edges, its once proud metal dulled by time. She held it out. The captain drew in a breath like a man witnessing history. Understood. He returned the emblem with reverence. And without another word, he straightened his spine and saluted. A ripple moved through the nearby rows, confused murmurs, hushed whispers. Ethan's pulse hammered. His daughter's awe grew brighter by the second. Whoever she wasn't just a passenger. She was a force that even hardened military men honored mid-flight. Ethan Cross hated mysteries he couldn't control. He leaned closer, voice low. "Why here? Why now? If you wanted anonymity, you failed. If you wanted spectacle, congratulations, you've got my daughter enchanted." Passenger 91 didn't turn to him. Her gaze remained on the thin clouds streaking past. "I didn't come for you," she said. "Or your daughter. I came because sometimes, the past doesn't ask permission to return. It just boards the same plane." Her words struck harder than he expected. Ethan, who built walls of logic, suddenly found himself staring at bricks crumbling. While adults played their games of secrecy, Lila saw something else. She didn't see a call sign, a legend, or a threat. She saw a woman sitting alone, carrying a weight too heavy for one person. She tugged on passenger 91's sleeve. "Can I ask you something?" The woman lowered her gaze. "You just did." Lila grinned. "Okay. Then one more. If the world forgot you, why did those pilots remember?" A pause. Then, almost imperceptibly, a smile flickered. "Because some names don't fade. They wait." Lila nodded, as if that answered something deep inside her. Ethan watched, unsettled. His daughter had never connected so quickly with anyone. Not with tutors, not with his carefully arranged companions, not with the polished women who entered and exited his life on contracts. For the first time, she seemed to find a forever possibility. But calm skies never last forever. The intercom crackled again, urgency cutting through static. "Greater than, ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain. We've been instructed to alter course due to airspace concerns. Please remain seated." The aircraft tilted, subtle but noticeable. Outside, the F-22s tightened formation, their sleek bodies bristling like wolves sensing predators in the distance. Ethan's grip on the armrest tightened. "What kind of concerns?" he muttered. Passenger 91's expression hardened. She knew. Of course she knew. She leaned forward slightly, as if measuring distance through the window. "They found me," she whispered. Ethan froze. "Who?" Her eyes met his, sharp as a blade unsheathed. "The reason Valkyrie disappeared." Word traveled through whispers faster than turbulence. Passengers began to sense something more than a routine detour. A nervous laugh here, a prayer whispered there. Children pressed against windows, trying to glimpse the fighter jets outside. In the back of the plane, a young soldier on leave caught sight of her insignia and went pale. He rose to his feet, chest tightening, then stood at attention in the narrow aisle. Others watched, confused, until one by one, recognition sparked. Veterans, scattered among the seats, slowly followed suit. Not everyone knew the name Valkyrie, but those who did responded the same way, with a salute. Ethan watched in disbelief as the ripple spread. His daughter's smile widened, radiant with pride. The world might have forgotten her, but here at 37,000 feet, surrounded by strangers, Valkyrie was remembered. But memory has a cost. The radar blips weren't random weather. They were incoming, and for the first time since takeoff, the comm veneer around passenger 91 fractured. She slid her duffel bag closer, unzipping just enough to reveal a glimpse of steel, not a weapon for show, but for survival. She turned to Ethan and Lila. "This isn't your fight," she said. "But you're in it now." The cabin lights flickered as if the storm outside had reached inside the fuselage. Gasps rose, prayers whispered, and somewhere a baby cried. For the first time in years, Valkyrie stood not as a ghost, not as a passenger, but as herself. And Ethan Cross, a man who thought he could order every piece of his life into place, realized he was sitting beside the one person who couldn't be ordered, only followed.